Hello everybody and welcome back to Mining Modern. I'm Corbin Hostler and this week we are playing a fun one. You see right here, the Rack. That's a deck you might know, right? 8 Rack, I've heard of that one. Makes people discard cards, but you know what? No, that's not what we're playing. We're playing Golgari Smallpox, and we just happen to be playing the Rack as a value card in this deck. So I got this, plucked this out of a league a month or two ago. It's actually maybe even longer than that this fight owed, but I've just been kind of holding it in my back pocket, waiting for an opportunity to play it, and today's that opportunity. We'll have all the Ravnica Allegiance stuff out on Magic Online next week, and I'll go from there. But for now, this is what we got. So, gonna lead things off with the Thoughtseize here and see what's going on. Tron, huh? Okay. Don't know what our Tron matchup's like. I do know that my opponent's gonna have a turn 3 Tron because they always do, but if we take the Ancient Historians, they might not actually be able to find anything to do with it. Unfortunately for us, they do top deck pretty well, and our deck is going to be giving them plenty of opportunities to do that. So at least we're on the play here. It's not as disastrous as it could have been. And we can just play our... Ooh. Huh. I'm definitely paying the 2 life here, but... I mean, this would just be a 2/3 right now. I guess that's the same damage as our Confidant. I'm not sure if I want the Goyfing the Bob here. I'm not sure if more cards actually equates to anything better. I think I just want a better clock. So the issue is that I'm just playing the Dark Confidant. I think I just need I need lands, if nothing else. You know, maybe not cards in the sense that we're gonna win through card advantage or whatever. It's usually not really a thing that matters that much with Tron. But we could at least hit some land drops here. Yeah, that's true. Bob could also find Smallpox. Not that Smallpox would be very good for us right now. Yeah, but we hit a Twilight Mire. Okay. Well, we found our lands. I probably just have to start... Well, no. I'm not going to Liliana. I'm just going to Goyf and the Rack, I think. I could be wrong, but I feel like I just have to put on the fastest clock possible. You know, making them discard 1 card when they already have Tron, and they're just going to keep their win condition in hand. And we just have to maximize the amount of damage we can deal. And it may or may not be enough, but we'll see. Yep. I mean, our opponent's not exactly emptying their hand, so that's... But Liliana will come down next turn and help with that. Alright, well, we'll start the beats with the Dark Confidant here and see what we can do. Yeah, so let's see. They have Tron now, but, I mean, they only have what their draw step has given them so far. They haven't cycled anything, you know. If they're going to start doing this to go try to find something, I mean, that means they're not slamming a Karn, in theory. Yeah, I mean, Ancient Historians is pretty good here. Pretty good at powering up my Tarmogoyf anyways. No, so we'll Liliana away our Fatal Push. I'm sure that'll... Well, never mind. Yeah, that'll probably do it for this one. They found, honestly, one of the best answers. I mean, maybe we'll hit something here with the Dark Confidant to get us out of it, but this is a pretty rough one to try to dig out from under. Oblivion Stone, very strong. Alright, let's see what we get with the Dark Confidant. Oh, I hit a Smallpox. You know what? Smallpox is pretty good. Oh, wow. Okay. Woo! Alright, I'm on board now. Wait, that might do it for us. Maybe not, though, because my opponent... Well, if they have a duplicate Tron land, they do get to choose which one they sacrifice. So maybe it wouldn't work. But, hey, we'll give it a shot, right? So, go ahead and play my land here. The question is... If I play out the Goyf and then the Smallpox, I could play Goyf and then Smallpox so that we kill our opponent faster. On the other hand, if my opponent... You know what? It doesn't matter, though. I think if my opponent has the land to break the Oblivion Stone, I'm not going to be able to win the game anyways. So I think that I just want to... take the line that will kill them the fastest. And I do have to sacrifice a creature anyways. So I guess it doesn't matter much here. Actually, this line is a little better because this way I get to put the creature into the graveyard, which is good for my other Tarmogoyf that will remain in play. Okay, so this is going to work out pretty well. So I'm going to throw away this Tarmogoyf. I'll grow this Tarmogoyf to a 4/5. We get to catch one of their lands, so they're not going to be able to Tron us next turn unless they have a duplicate. Now, the thing is, though, if they had the duplicate, I would never be able to beat it. That's basically the way I'm looking at that. So there's really no point in playing around a duplicate Tron land because we weren't ever, no other line was going to win us this game. I mean, in this line, we get in for 7 damage at least, and take our opponent off Tron. So this is honestly as good as it's going to get. And if they have it, they have it, I guess. We'll go on to game 2. Don't think we have a great sideboard against Tron, but we'll see what we're working with. For what it's worth, I mean, I don't think our deck is bad against Tron either, but... Alright, knock him down to 7 here. Hopefully we, this might give us another turn where we get to actually, find a card off our Dark Confidant. No, they did have it, though, so... Alright, that'll pretty much wrap that one up, I think. Maybe take a draw. I mean, I guess if my opponent were to just blow it like this, I mean, I guess I can untap into Liliana. There are worse things to reload with after an Oblivion Stone. I mean, the next one definitely gets us. The next basically anything from our opponent, but that is what it is. All right, so they discard a forest. I mean, if they have another payoff, we're going to lose the game. But maybe they don't. Maybe they just are trying to cycle a bunch of cards. Oh, that doesn't look like the tap of someone. Yeah, okay, they've got it all. Drew perfectly. All right, Tron, fair enough. Onto the sideboard. Well, I think I want some of this stuff for sure. Needles? Yes, please. Maelstrom Pulse? Yeah, I suppose. What we don't need are the Fatal Pushes. That's for sure. Also not needed is the Nihil Spellbomb. Or possibly some number of Funeral Charms here, but let's see what else we want. Is Garrick good? Garrick can... I mean, he can spit out tokens, which isn't bad, but Liliana doesn't do much. Golgari Charm, regenerating each creature I control, that's not bad, but it doesn't really have anything else it's doing. Abrupt Decay is the other option. Honestly, Abrupt Decay is just fine, I think. It does destroy some of their things. It doesn't destroy all of them. It doesn't necessarily destroy super key ones. See, I honestly think maybe just this Garrick to make tokens is not bad. It's just a threat that doesn't die to as many things as a creature would. That said, maybe I just bring in maybe I just keep a surgical. I mean, surgical one of their. Yeah, okay. I mean, this feels pretty bad too. Actually, none of this feels good. I mean, I guess I could keep the Spellbomb into cycle. I'm going to take the, sorry, this is a hard call here. I'm just going to, I guess I'll grab this Abrupt Decay. We can hit, we can hit an Oblivion Stone the turn they play it if they don't play and activate in the same turn. So we've got some choices here. And this hand, I mean, I think I'm into this hand. I mean, I guess I could Needle preemptively. Would be nice to know what they're working with to Needle, but yeah, I'll see what I can do. Hand could potentially work out pretty well. We don't have great value with Smallpox. There's no Flagstones of Traquair or anything like that in here to get extra value from the Smallpox. But just having Smallpox is pretty good in itself. Sometimes you just sacrifice a land and that's okay. And that's what we're going to try to do here. Now, the Double Needle in the opening hand, the thing is, it is good. I mean, it's definitely a good card in the matchup. The only downside is I don't actually know what they have. So, I could name something like Karn in the Dark or Oblivion Stone, and maybe I will, but I would prefer if I drew a discard spell and got to see what they were working with. I mean, I guess I could also just name Chromatic Star. No, that's a mana ability? Yeah, this is a mana ability, I believe, so that wouldn't work. It would be embarrassing. It would be an embarrassing play to make, as a matter of fact. An Urborg, huh? Well, I can play Needles blindly, or I can just Smallpox away one of their lands, and just say, hey, I'm taking out a Tron land. I mean, honestly, I think I'm down for that. It does require me to play and lose the Twilight Mire, but I think that's fine. Well, that or the Urborg, but... Yeah, I mean, it's just a, quote-unquote no value Smallpox here, but I mean, basically it turns the Pithing Needle in our hand that we're going to discard here, I mean, into something, right? Right now it's nothing because we don't have any idea what to name, and anything our opponent plays are going to get us immediately with it. But playing the Smallpox takes out we get to trade one of our lands for an Urza land, and we have lands, so that's fine. And we put the pressure back on them to put what they're doing together because, hey, we still have our plan of, playing a Liliana in, not the same turn of the game, but the same turn of the game in relation to what our opponent is doing anyways. So, all right, it looks like they're going to have a... All right, so that one is also... All right, so they're both mana abilities. Can't do anything about those. So my opponent did not have... an expedition map or anything like that, at least. So that's not bad here. Not a great draw, unfortunately. So, yeah, I can Needle in the Dark if I want. That's what I'm going to do. Jeez, I'm not doing anything else with any of this turn. I'm going to name Karn. Alright, so the logic here is that of all the things my opponent could do, the Karn on turn 3 after I play Liliana is the most damaging. And while, there are some things they could play that we just can't answer no matter what, this is our only turn to play the Needle. Because next turn we're tapping out for Liliana, and when we pass the turn back to them at that point, that is the turn, the danger turn with Karn, which can immediately answer Liliana. So, Ugin would not be able to come down that turn. I mean, not that we could beat an Ugin, but, I mean, it wouldn't immediately come down that turn. Maybe that gives me another turn. Maybe I'd be able to try to rip something for it, but... Alright, so let's see what our opponent's got here. Oh my god, I hate Tron. Destroy a Tron land, and it just doesn't matter. They keep coming. Alright, well... I'd like to draw a discard spell, please. That would be pretty good here. Well, in the strictest sense of the word, that is a discard spell. Alright, I guess there's nothing to do but play Liliana and hope, right? I'd say the odds of us winning this game are pretty much 0, but, sometimes you just get Troned, and, hey, when you're me, you get Troned online all the time while recording Mighty Modern. I'm just kidding. Everyone loves to hate on Tron. Well, my opponent discarded another Urza Tower just to prove that they had all of them. This deck is cool. So, I mean, that's the thing is we really would have preferred a creature. I don't know. This hand was close, though. And this might mean that our opponent doesn't have an answer immediately, doesn't have a payoff. That or their payoff is going to be an Oblivion Stone, so they just had extra mana. But no, if their Ancient Stern seem to find something here, they could conceivably whiff. Who knows? Maybe they even find something here they can't cast, and then we hit a discard spell on our draw step, and we just keep working on this Liliana and see what we can do. You never know, that might work. Alright, so my opponent found an Expedition map. That's not very good, unless what they have in hand is... Oh, well... Never mind, they just had it all along. Oh my gosh. Okay, fair enough. Said, this isn't necessarily unbeatable. Let's see what we draw here. Well, I'd have to draw... I think I've drawn nothing but lands and Funeral Charm since this game started, so that's a little unfortunate. Alright, I'll make them discard here. This way they can only have one threat in hand to kill me. I'll make him discard with Liliana. They have all the Tron lands, that's for sure. Alright, I may as well get in there for 3 so I can at least claim I dealt combat damage this game before I die. Also, for what it's worth, I guess, if my opponent's last card was, let's say, Ugin or Karn or something, I could actually attack it with my Treetop Village. And if my opponent just wants to blow up the Oblivion Stone here, if they don't have any gas in hand, I mean, maybe we'll actually have a chance to top deck our way out of it. The problem with that plan, of course, being that they top deck far better than we do. And there goes the Oblivion Stone, and with it, our Liliana and Pithing Needle. Alright, fair enough. I've still got this Treetop Village, though. It's a land swamp. Alright. Oh, Smallpox, huh? Well, Smallpox isn't bad here. Yeah, why not? I mean, I don't think it's great here, but you know what? It takes a card out of their hand. It takes a land off their board. You know, may or may not matter. But, you know, me getting in for 3 damage isn't necessarily lighting the world on fire either. And our curve tops out at 3, so, I mean, why not? My opponent discarded Sylvan Scrying and Urza's Tower. So, either their last card in hand is a Tron payoff, and we're going to be in trouble here. Or I guess we just continue this game of doing nothing. Unfortunately for us, it was a Worm Coil Engine, and we died. Oh, it's too bad. This is actually, of all the win conditions they could have to, this is randomly the one that we can't actually answer with a single card. Even if they had something like a worst case scenario Ugin or something there, we could theoretically top deck Maelstrom Pulse, which you see that we have right here, but we can't do anything about the Worm Coil Engine. Oh, man. I mean, I have to do this. That feels so bad if that was, I mean, I say, they could have just been Karn, they could have exiled our Treetop Village. You know, we would have been just as dead that way, so it probably doesn't really matter. It's just kind of a feel bad. It's too bad. Because our opponent's down to their last card in hand too, I believe. Alright, I'll take the 6 here. I don't really know what I'm looking for to get back in it, but we'll at least take another draw step. Yeah, that probably wasn't it, though. Alright, I can trade off my Treetop Village with this Worm. I have to say, most of the time I probably would have scooped by now, but hey, for the good of the for the good of the videos, we're sticking with it. We'll see what we can do. I'll fire this thing up. Try to move to blocks. Take out this lifelink one. I mean, we can since we hit that Bloodstained or that Twilight Mire, we can actually still cast whatever we want. Oh, unfortunately, our opponent can as well. Alright, well, that one will kill us for sure. Alright, fair enough. We have fallen to Tron. I hate getting Tron, but that's the way it goes. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll give it another shot. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mining Modern. I'm Corbin Hostler, and this week we are having some fun with Smallpox. But this is not a deck like you've seen before. This is not a mono-black Smallpox deck. It's not a black-white Smallpox deck. It's green-black Golgari Pox. But, by the way, we're also playing the Rack. Yeah, I bet you didn't think about that one, right? So this is just a wild, wild deck that 5-0 to League a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, I don't even know. I just know that I'm old now, so everything I think happened a year ago was 3 years ago. Everything I think happened last week was a month ago. That's just how it goes, right? So I don't actually know exactly when this listed 5-0, but I've had it sitting on my computer waiting to give it a shot, and this week's the week to do it. And our opponent's going to boom at us, huh? Well, I don't like what that portends, but we'll see here. This does seem like a very good turn to fire for Smallpox, though. It's so weird to play these Smallpoxes because these are just value Poxes in a way that I've never played a Smallpox deck before that didn't have Bloodghasts or Grave Crawlers or Flagstones or something to get value off Smallpox. Speaking of getting value off of Smallpox, here I was thinking, I don't know what my opponent's up to, some sort of aggro strategy, maybe like maybe Soul Flare. I think we ran into that last week. No, I just get maximum punished. They mulligan, they get stuck with a bridge from below in hand, and we make them discard it, and they, oh my gosh. Oh, I mean, it's not like killing Bomat was bad. It's not like that was a bad play necessarily, but it is a little unlucky, right? Here's a Fatal Push, though. I mean, I think it's all going to be okay in the end here. The only question is whether or not I can afford to play Confidant here, and I am going to. I want some cards. I'll have Tarmogoyf plus Fatal Push next turn. That was about as big as a blowout as you could script. I'm feeling pretty good. My opponent has 1 land, 1 creature. I'm about to Smallpox him. This is great. And just get completely blown out for it. I don't know if we're going to get there or not. I mean, our opponent playing this Bridgevine deck, it is an extremely explosive deck. You know, I can handle taking 4 here, I guess. The Neonate's going to make another token, which is kind of a problem. I mean, I guess technically I could push my own Confidant. That's not bad. We reveal a Thoughtseize, and we draw a Liliana. So lots of options here. I wonder what Thoughtseize Tarmogoyf would be like. I wonder if that would have any value. I mean, probably. Theoretically, I'm not really taking too much damage next turn. And if my opponent attacks, I can block. Which I believe would keep them from getting... Which, on their turn, would keep them from getting zombies. So, the question is whether or not the Thoughtseize is worth it, or Fatal Push to force this is worth it. I mean, that doesn't necessarily seem very good. I'm going to go for the Thoughtseize line here. Alright, I think I made the correct mana here. We got a Thoughtseize and a Tarmogoyf. Alright, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm playing a little fast and loose with my life total here, but I do know that this deck can stall out pretty hard, so if we can hit something important from their hand, you know, just something to keep them from really, like, digging into anything deeper or too crazy, I think we might be able to stabilize it around 4 to 5 life, but, I mean, it's very possible. I mean, actually, I take that back. We could have, but... My opponent actually had a second bridge from below. I guess I could have responded to that maybe by pushing my own Bob? Not sure. Alright, well, here's the situation. Our opponent doesn't have a Ballista. They've got 8 power in play. We have 2 blockers. And they have a Bloodghast in hand that, unfortunately, if they had a Black Source anyways, will have haste. So, you know, this game doesn't look great for us here, but it's not over yet. Our opponent doesn't, at least in hand, have a way to finish us off. You know, the attacks for them are okay. Well, that might have been the nail in the coffin. That one was pretty good there. You know, they needed to hit something, and unfortunately they did, because just putting the 2 extra zombies in play, that makes things look a lot better for them on their next attack. They're just going to swarm us to death here. We're going to need to find something good. I almost kind of wish there was a... Kitchen Finks or 2 on my sideboard. Would have actually been kind of nice in some of these matchups. So, alright, so... Am I... Alright, so, okay. Okay. Alright, so my opponent doesn't get tokens off of those. However, we're going to need some help here. That might be good enough. I haven't done them... we'll see, I guess. Well, I'll Fatal Push this thing. I'll Liliana the other one, and then I'm not dead. Look at that. We actually got rid of 2 of their creatures, so... My opponent has a Bloodghast in hand that they can't play. This game isn't over yet. My opponent can sell out to hit Liliana, which is fine. And yes, I obviously understand that the Gravecrawler is a free sacrifice to Liliana. It's not about that. It's about taking off the number of attackers they have on this turn. So that, 1, we don't die to a Black Source, but 2, we don't just go down to 1. So this is actually great. Liliana's even going to fog for us here. I get to take out another zombie. Not even convinced my opponent wanted to attack Liliana, to be honest. I think attacking us might have been better, because Liliana plus helps him. It puts the Bloodghast into their graveyard, and then they can still make the same attack next turn. I'm not sure. Well, that's not bad either. The problem is it's still free for them to sacrifice the Bloodghast, but or the Gravecrawler rather. But I suppose in this case, they actually can't kill the Liliana, so the Tarmogoyf will get to block. This has been a wild game that we're still in here. The problem is their deck interacts, I think, at a better access at this point than ours does. I mean, obviously, I would love to hit a Tarmogoyf or something, but we just have so many discard spells that are just so punishing to draw at this point of the game. And here you can see our opponent did actually find some action. The zombie in the... oh, wow, they didn't attack, though. They got the Bowmat and did not come in with it. All right. Well, I guess I get to, you know, do nothing here. I truly don't know what our line to winning the game is. I guess I may as well plus the Liliana here, simply because my opponent's going to discard the Bloodghast, but realistically, any land they hit anyways is going to allow them to cast a Bloodghast with haste. So, Bloodghast in the graveyard versus Bloodghast in hand, honestly, probably not that big of a difference in practice here. We're still in a lot of trouble, though. I mean, the idea here, I guess, is that, you know, my opponent can attack if they want and get rid of our Liliana. It makes it, they have to attack with more things at Liliana, I suppose. I don't know. You know, the other thing is, my opponent could attack with that Bowmat Courier this turn, put that Bloodghast in their graveyard at any point. So there really was no reason to wait around. Just go ahead and plus the Liliana and get to it and see what we can do here. So they have gotten around to sending the team at us. And this is pretty bad for us. Well, we got the last zombie taken out here. So, I mean, that means that if the Gravecrawler goes away after this, we won't be dead. Or won't be coming back, at least immediately. My opponent can just find Lightning Bolt or anything like that, though, to finish me off. Not sure if they have bolts or not. Don't know where these lists have ended up these days. I played it right after it did well at the Pro Tour. I actually played it at a couple events. But, alright, the second Gravecrawler is pretty bad for us. But let's see what we hit. Well, the rack, probably not going to do it. Another Tarmogoyf, I think, would have been our best bet. Another Tarmogoyf and then the rack, maybe. Still technically not dead. I'm living on a... hanging on by a thread here, but we're not dead. My opponent can technically only put me to 1 this turn. We did it. We got him with the... We got him with the rack? Alright, look at that. We did it. We did it. We dealt damage with the rack. Excuse me. Well, maybe a small misstep out of my opponent here, depending on what they have, but I can actually block the Gravecrawler, go down to 1, and then my opponent can't replay the other Gravecrawler, which I guess is, if I were to come up with the only line that could possibly lead to me winning the game, it would probably involve something like this. You know, if my opponent just draws a bunch of things that don't do anything or whatever, and then, you know, we take out this Gravecrawler, they can't replay Gravecrawler out of their graveyard, we go to 1. Even if they cash in the Bowmat, it's all lands. I don't know. It is hard to realistically come up with a scenario where we win this game, but I'm going to keep trying. Let's see if what they've got here. Another creature, I assume, coming down. An X costs 1. That's my guess. It was. That'll kill us. All right, X equals 1. You can tell because they were paying costs, but they were paying costs for a very long time. So you can tell they were taking it up. All right, so we fell to that. Now, what is good here? Magical Spell Bomb. That's a definite one. Surgicals, yes, please. All right, thinking this one through. The Garrett Relentlesses actually aren't bad here. Neither are the Pulses. The Liliana, I think, is pretty good. Conversely, this Liliana is actually pretty bad. I think those are a reasonable cut. Gosh, the discard, the discard whatever you want spell, Funeral Charm here. And same with Liliana. It's just so bad letting them have their choices. So I think what I'm doing instead is maybe take a different strategy here. Definitely want Scavenging Ooze. Funeral Charm doesn't help against Bridge from Below. It does help against the 1-drop. Well, that's fine. Golgari Charm, Abrupt Decay. These things don't do as much. Melcher Pulse is a definite for the zombies. Actually, kind of like this. This Liliana is just actively bad because the thing with the Bridgevine deck is sometimes it gets cards stuck in its hand. You know, the same goes for Smallpox, honestly. How much can I change my deck here to try to make my cards that are bad against them just slightly less bad? I don't know if I can go any better than this. You know, I don't know if Abrupt Decay, you know, Smallpox can still get their lands, but Smallpox isn't very good for me either. But if I was going to try to do this, it would be something like 2 Liliana, or like the 2 Abrupt Decays and a Liliana. This is how I would do this. I just get rid of everything that makes them discard. I'll give this a shot. I don't know if this is the right way to go or not. I mean, but Smallpox, like I said, is more fair in this deck than any deck I've played. And their deck is, I mean, Smallpox is good for their deck. So I think maybe we'll give this a shot instead. I mean, I guess I'm in. Targeted discard is where we wanted to be. I mean, this deck, I guess this hand comes in with some built-in value with the Treetop Villages here. But, that's all right. Yeah, so I mean, basically what I've done with my sideboarding plane here is said, well, one of the weaknesses of my opponent's deck is that sometimes they get cards stuck in their hand. They don't do anything, and they need discard outlets. Well, why give them a discard outlet, you know? Yes, maybe sometimes those cards will be good for me, and I could take my opponent off land with Smallpox, or, you know, get their last card and hand it into a Walking Ballista or whatever with Funeral Charm, but maybe I'm also just going to hook them up and let them discard a Bridge from Below like last game. So keep the targeted discard around because I can direct that at whatever I want, but the one that gives them options, let's get rid of that. And now it's Supplier or Neonate, huh? So I'm going to get rid of the Supplier. This Bridgevine deck is really cool, though. I love Citrus Supplier. It's the right level of broken, I think. It's a pretty neat deck. I thought it was pretty broken at first. What I don't like about this deck is that if you imagine a scale, let's say a card was designed where it was flip a coin. If heads, you win the game. If tails, you lose. Well, that's perfectly balanced because it's 50-50, but it's not very fun. And I think this deck is one of the decks, maybe kind of like KCI, sort of that vein in Modern, where you're just kind of flipping coins to see if you win a lot of times. Yeah, decisions matter. Yeah, all those things we matter. We want to matter, do matter. But sometimes this deck has a bunch of Bridgevines on turn 2 and it kills you. But conversely, sometimes you draw Bridge from Belows and don't have a discard outlet and don't win. And, you know, decks that beat themselves are definitely an important part of Magic. But, you know, when those decks can kill you on turn 2 or turn 3 in Modern, and there's not much you can do about it, particularly in Game 1, and there's 4 different decks that do that, well, you know, that starts to gets to be a little bit frustrating. And I think that's kind of where Modern's at. That said, Modern has rebounded very well to it. I think things were actually worse a few months ago. KCI is very good right now, but KCI is one of those decks that's good specifically in the hands of players good with KCI. And, you know, at your local FNM, it's less of a problem than it is at, say, a Grand Prix level. So we'll see where Modern grows. I don't know what the ban list, I guess it came out today. I don't know what it'll say. You know, I don't know what if they'll have anything to say about it. I don't know if there'll be a Mythic Championship within the future. We'll see. But that's my thoughts on where we're at right now in Modern. Anyways, back to the game here. We drew a Dark Confidant. Our opponent has a Neonate. We know their hand, and we know their hand to be very mediocre. It's safe to say here. In fact, I think we actually knew that they drew a Bloodstained Mire. So we know their entire hand. We know their hand does nothing. So I'm actually kind of just want to play my Dark Confidant here. Normally, I would be a little bit wary of just running it out here and taking a bunch of damage. But, you know, in this case, I think it might work. And next turn, we can Thoughtseize and Spellbomb and Treetop Village. And we just have to hope our opponent doesn't do anything too broken. I mean, if they just want to play land and play Ballista to shoot my Confidant, honestly, that's fine with me too. That's kind of a do-nothing from them. And their deck relies on explosiveness. You know, another turn that goes by, we get to deploy this Nihil Spellbomb and just keep it out here. And that's all very good for us. Their deck is more than capable of beating a Spellbomb. That's for sure, but it's still problematic for them. So I'm guessing they're just going to play a Ballista here to shoot down my Confidant. And I think I'm fine with that. I mean, this Neonate still represents a little bit of a problem as things go on here. But I think we have the ability to draw out of it. And there's no way this Dark Confidant wasn't ever, you know, was always going to meet this Ballista. We may as well do it now. Oh, there's a Goyf. I mean, I guess the way I sequenced my land drop by fetching out the basic swamp last turn, the Goyf was unplayable here. But I don't think I would have played it here anyways, so that's fine. I'm going to Thoughtseize them again. Yeah, I mean, I think even if I had had green mana this turn, you know, I might have just Thoughtseized and played Goyf. That's probably what I would have done. So you make the argument I maybe should have shocked myself with an Overgrown Tomb, or maybe even fetched out the one basic forest last turn. But, you know, I knew we were going to Thoughtseize again. I just didn't want to take too much damage. But our opponent's hand, excuse me, is well and truly bad now. So we're doing a little better. In fact, the Spellbomb here is pretty good because my opponent drew Bridge from Below. And that interacts very favorably with the Insolent Neonate. So they do get a token out of that, I believe, is how it works. So that's pretty good for them. So we know they have a bridge, and that's it. But now I get to play my Goyf. I get to have my Spellbomb up with mana, even if they decide to let me. All right, play Goyf and pass the turn. You know, Nihil Spellbomb is a little awkward in that it's going to make our Tarmogoyf smaller, but it is better than Relic of Progenitus in that, one, it doesn't take any mana to use its effect, but also leaves my graveyard around, so at least my Tarmogoyf will do something. As a matter of fact, it would be a 2-3. 3-4, thank you very much. Very powerful Tarmogoyf. Alright, so my opponent looted the bridge into the graveyard. Now they want to bring these in here. They have menace. I can't block. By the way, that's a secret ability on this card. No one ever thinks about it, but it has menace, and it is very good at getting in the last chip points of damage this tech needs. So the problem we're going to face here, well, maybe the problem is if I want to decay something, then I can't treetop here. And you know what? The Tarmogoyf kills him in 3 clean hits anyways. I mean, I guess the treetop with it would have hit him for... But with this Abrupt Decay in my hand, and we already know we're taking some damage, and the Spellbomb and everything, I think I'm fine just still clocking him for, you know, a 3-turn clock here. I need to keep up Decay in case things kind of get out of control. Yep. That's going to happen. No Bridgevines, please. Fingers crossed, no Bridgevines. All right, there we go. Sigil Supplier, Bowmat, and Hangerback Walker. That's not very good for them. Unfortunately, they... Oh, gosh, that's good for them. To say, unfortunately, they do have blockers for my Tarmogoyf for forever here. Now, this Viscera Seer is their last card. This one's going to be pretty rough to beat. Oh, man. Thought about Abrupt Decay and the Citrus Supplier there, actually, of all things, but the problem is my opponent can just make it. If I blink first, basically, they can sacrifice these and make a bunch of zombies, and then we're probably just dead anyways. So, you know, this all kind of sucks for me, but I don't know, short of drawing Surgical or, you know, another Spellbomb or something. But you know what? We're still going to be in trouble because I do have a bridge in there. Yeah. Yeah, and that's just an actual dead draw. This is gonna get pretty ugly. To be honest. Alright, so here's what I think the plan is. I think the plan, now that we're at this point here, I'm going to Abrupt Decay the Viscera Seer and see what they do. I don't know that there's any line that gets us out of this here, is the thing, but this might work. Basically, it comes down to how they choose to play it, you know. They're going to end up with some amount of zombies here. But you know what? Actually, the cost for this is discarding a card. They can't do this. So this is actually going to work out. I didn't even realize that. This is way worse for my opponent now because now all of this goes on the stack. I'm going to let the Citrus Supplier resolve. And now I'm going to Nihil Spellbomb them. Getting rid of the bridge from below. I even get to pay one and draw a card here. Alright, so now they sacrifice these to make the zombies. We knew that was coming. Oh, no, they can't. They sacrifice the... Wait a minute. Okay. My opponent sacrificed the Viscera Seer to itself. They couldn't sacrifice these to their own ability, but they could have sacrificed them to the Viscera Seer, and it still would have worked. So I'm not entirely sure what just happened there, but I think it was good for us. But then again, honestly, with what we drew, maybe it's not, because guess what? We're actually just dead in 2 turns here. Don't have the... I mean... Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know what my opponent has. We're both top decking, but... I top decked a pretty good one. I want to hold down the fort for a while. Yeah, we're going to have to find something here. We're going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, this is pretty lucky. Wow, what are these? These are interesting attacks, but that's fine, I suppose. I get in for 3. You know, I do still have the treetop villages. Another green source wouldn't be too bad. This has been a weird game, that's for sure. It's been a weird, fun game. But if my opponent, I think if they had sacrificed the neonates and gotten a couple of zombies out of that, plus they could have scried through more of their deck, maybe that would have been better. I don't know. Ah, Fatal Push, huh? Oh man, what do I do? I think I'm gonna be aggressive for this turn at least. In fact, I can Fatal Push a Neonate here. I actually wish I attacked with both Neonates and not the zombie so that I could have... it says Trample, that's kind of nice too. So I could have ended up killing the zombie here, but I will, I suppose, take killing the Neonate. Maybe I should have killed the zombie anyways, I don't know. Killing the Neonate allows me to get in for 1 more damage this turn. But this has Trample anyway, so maybe it actually would have just been fine to not do that and kill the zombie. But I don't know. I mean, with this, my opponent can't really swing back with at us very profitably anyways. So the zombie may be forced to play defense just by virtue of the numbers that are around, you know, math notwithstanding. So, I don't know. This has been a wild game, right? This is Modern. This is what I love about Modern, though. You know, as much as sometimes I like to complain about it or I get Tron and I'm salty or whatever, look at the game we're playing right here. I'm playing this weird off-the-wall deck archetype. My opponent is playing an even crazier deck archetype that relies on being fast and explosive and attacking people for 12 on turn 2. And here we have a game that's coming down to Thopter tokens and zombie tokens and 1/1s with menace, right? And the crawl worm of the format, Tarmogoyfs. So... this is why Modern's cool. Or why Magic's cool, I guess, is another way to look at it. Alright, so this, actually my opponent kept a card in hand, so we may as well run this Inquisition out and see what's up. Alright, nothing to see there. Play our Treetop Village. Fire up this Treetop Village. I think we're going to win. I want to do this right. I want to tap my mana first, so I don't actually use the wrong one there. But I think this will work. We get in for... damage here, I think. Well, I attack... no. Okay, so I attack with both, and my opponent has to chump block. So... because it has trample, yes. So it's the same thing. All right, well, I don't know if my opponent has lightning bolts. I don't know if they have... Oh, they do get to cycle that too, so that's actually pretty good for them. They're down to 3. I do know they have blood gas, so we're dead to blood gas. We're dead to bolt if they have bolt. I think bolt might be the one like non-combo card the deck plays. I'm not sure though, but we're dead to bolt. We're dead to any haste creature. We're dead to anything that, you know, pings us for a life here. We're dead to gut shot if they have red mana because they can't pay the life. So I don't know. They're leaving us in suspense here, so they tap their mana. We will see. These treetop villages have been pretty clutch, though. That's for sure. The trample actually makes the treetop village a better finisher in this case than the Tarmogoyf against all these tokens my opponent has. So they're just drawing this out for as long as possible here. I have no idea what that means. I don't know if it means it's something difficult to cast, or it's some sort of X spell. We're going to die to a ballista for 1 again. We're gonna die to a Bridgevine. Oh no! No! Bridgevine! It has haste, everybody! How can you beat this card? Oh my gosh, they top decked all the... Oh my god. So my opponent, they were at 0 cards in hand and they drew 2. And they drew an overgrown... It was an overgrown tomb, right? They drew an overgrown tomb, had exactly enough life to shock themselves down to play a Bridgevine, which was their next draw and killed us. So, all right, kudos. That was a fun game of Modern. Thanks for watching. All right, everybody, let's see if we can pick up a win with the deck here this week. It's been slow going so far, but I've had some pretty close ones. That last one, that was definitely close. Sometimes you get Tron, but... We've had good games at least. All right, so we can go ahead and Thoughtseize into Bob here on our opponent's mulligan with a rack. Basically Tarmogoyf in Modern in this deck, by the way, the rack, yeah. Basically Tarmogoyf. Oh, wow. All right, my opponent's trying to have some fun here. Pteramander. Pteramander, huh? All right, I guess I'll get you Delver Secrets. That's cool. They got a cool deck. You know what I did not see there was removal for my Dark Confidant. Alright, so I'm sure they're just gonna play their Salamander Drake. Alright, hey, Liliana is a pretty nice one there. Yeah, I guess we're gonna see how good Pteramander is. May as well find out, right? I mean, but it costs 1 less for each instant or sorcery, huh? Well, the problem for them is, you know, they might plan on double opting or something here to try to make this thing... I mean, it does become a 5/5. It becomes giant very quickly. It is hopefully at least going to run into my Liliana here and go down. Yep, and there. That should clear the way. If my opponent's going to go ahead and start opting now, then that likely means that they don't have a counterspell they're holding up. So we should be good to just Liliana away the Pteramander with our Dark Confidant. Then we can play out the rack. I'd say things are looking pretty good in this one so far. I mean, all right, we've already got a Bedlam Reveler and an Opt. All right, let's see if I can be a good player. I am. Oh no, I hit the Liliana of the Veil. Thought I was going to be a good player and hit the Verdant Catacombs off the Dark Confidant there. I did not. All right, that's fine though. All right, just going to go ahead and Liliana, and I guess hope my opponent doesn't have, you know, a Force Spike here. Don't Force Spike me, please. Don't Spell Pierce me. All right, we're good to go. So, all right. All right, I still don't know how good Pteramander is in Modern, but I do know that it was a Flying Men here that aided Liliana. So this is not looking great for our opponent. They're going to opt again. Sure, they're down to a Bedlam Reveler in hand that we know about. But they're going to take damage. I mean, we're... Depending on how we want to play out our Lilianas next turn, you know, we could conceivably Liliana plus, play Liliana plus, take 2 cards out of our opponent's hand, and follow up with the rack. Lots of choices. This game's pretty solidly in our favor at the moment, but we'll see where things go from here. Yeah, Young Peasy's a pretty good one at digging yourself out of it, that's for sure. Yeah, and see, this is what I'm talking about. This is how it can change right here. There's the lightning bolt onto the Dark Confidant. Our Liliana doesn't do much. Fatal Push was a very important draw, though. Yeah, drawing Fatal Push there was actually just huge because now I can Liliana plus. I get to get a card out of their hand. Now our Liliana is keeping pace with the elemental token as far as damage, and I get to play the rack, and start hurting them. So, like I said, everybody, you heard it here first. The rack in this deck, basically Tarmogoyf. You play it early, it doesn't cost very much mana, and by the end of the game, it's killed your opponent. Basically Tarmogoyf. That can't be removed by Fatal Push or Path to Exile or Lightning Bolt. Strictly better Tarmogoyf, you might say. I wouldn't say that, but you might. I don't know. So, all right, let's see what our opponent wants to do here. We've made our big play, and I do think it was pretty solid. And now we're gonna make them. We're putting the pressure on them here, and Fatal Push is definitely gonna help with that. So I'm gonna plus Liliana again. Try to get their last card here. I don't even need that land. All right, so the Bedlam Reveler that I guess they couldn't play. They must have been a little short here. So now we get to pass the turn back. We get to hit our opponent for the full 3 with the rack. Lightning Bolt for days here. So with Fatal Push up here, I think we're going to be able... Well, that's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good, but guess what? I have more Lilianas where that came from. And of course, dealing with Liliana is, just step 1 for our opponent. Dealing with the rack is probably the more important thing, and they're nowhere near doing that. So I'm going to play Liliana, just minus it here. The reason for this is my opponent plays a ton of creatures that we can Fatal Push, right? And of course that was one of them, but I can do this without burning a card. Liliana's still in play. I mean, the game's probably over anyways, but this way we get to sort of preserve a Fatal Push in our hand in case that somehow became relevant. I just don't think our opponent has the cards to match us. I just don't think they can create the velocity through their deck. They're pretty much going to be limited to playing 1 card a turn, and that's just not enough. And there you go. We took it down. All right, so Garruk Relentless seems like an all-star here. Liliana Last Hope seems good. Scoot seems good. Abrupt Decay seems extremely good. Pulse seems fine as well. All right, let's think this one through here. What don't I want? Funeral Charm's actually really good at killing Pteramanders and Delvers and so on. Honestly, our whole deck is going to be pretty good here. Ironically, after just winning with it, I think I can cut the rack. The problem is we actually just have too much right now. Maybe Funeral Charm is one of the worst ways we have to deal with what they're doing. Maybe I don't want these Garruks or all these 3 drops. I don't know what's correct here. You'd probably start by cutting Garruks as much as I like them, and I really do. I'm going to keep one. I'm going to cut the Liliana of the Last Hope. We just have a ton of ways already to deal with the one. Man, this card's just so good, though. Oh, I have to just play this. You know what? Maybe I cut the Liliana of the Veils, because as good as they were for us that game, they're actually not very good against Young Pyromancers. Liliana of the Last Hope's much better there, and heck, even Garrick's better in that circumstance. So I want those other pulse in here too. All right, I'm just out on the Lilianas. This is weird, and I don't know if this is correct. I'm becoming more of a control deck, but permanent base. Like I want to control your board rather than control your hand. I've gone down on some of the discard effects. I've gone up on the effects that interact with their hand a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if this is correct or not. Obviously, I haven't practiced for the Pteramander matchup here in Modern. I kind of want to play it. I mean, it does seem pretty cool. I've played a number of those blue-red prowess type decks, however you want to look at them, on Mighty Modern before and had a lot of fun with them. So I can't say I'm a big Delver fan myself, but Pteramander is objectively cooler than Delver. It just is. Stronger, weaker, better, worse. Neither of them are merfolk, so what's it matter anyways? I don't know. I'm just saying that Pteramander is kind of cool. I might be in to play around with that one a little bit. I also like that that's quietly become a pretty powerful archetype in Modern. And it kind of waxes and wanes, right? It ebbs and flows based on what the metagame's doing. But the blue-red spells deck. It's become Izzet Phoenix, right? But even now, there's still something in the ice versions or things like that. It's sort of a thing that's been on the edges in a bunch of different ways and kind of finally coalesced into Izzet Phoenix, and is pretty powerful. All right, so I'm going to keep this hand. This hand's a little weird, but these smallpoxes are just so hit or miss, right? They can be so good. Excuse me, especially on the play. Maybe I should board these out on the draw. This might have been a better thing to board out than Liliana. Not a lot of experience with the deck here, so trying to figure it out as we go. I mean, you know, all that said, though, if my opponent plays out a 1-drop or whatever here, I'm going to feel good to Smallpox it. You know, I'm not going to be sad to do that. I'll still have mana to cast Fatal Push. I'll discard one of the other Smallpoxes. Honestly, Smallpox discarding Smallpox is the only way I'm going to get value out of these cards in my hand at this point. Oh, wow, and we're going to get a young Pyromancer with it? That is actually just as lucky as... That is as much as we could ask for right there. I suppose we could get blown up pretty hard if our opponent just went for the gut shot here, right? Gut shot, make a 1/1. Sacrifice it to Smallpox. All right, so I'm going to discard this Smallpox. I actually like the original art better. Sacrifice a Swamp. I'm keeping this one. You don't know it, but this is Shadowmoor art. Full art or not, Shadowmoor is one of my favorite sets. All right, so I don't know if this is going to be good enough to win us the game or not. It is going to depend on the context of our opponent's hand. Do they have more, you know, young Pyromancer, Delver-type creatures in hand, or do they have a bunch of Serum Visions and Bedlam Revelers, right? If it's the former and there's a bunch of small creatures that we can take care of with these Fatal Pushes, you know, killing their Pyromancer, taking a card out of their hand, taking a land out is going to be pretty good, especially since we have the lands to follow it up with here. Imagine if they played another young Pyromancer and we just repeated the play. That'd be something. But regardless, I feel okay with this. You know, that is as much value as you can hope to get out of Smallpox in a deck not dedicated to Smallpox. And in this deck, Smallpox is just a value piece. All right, Delver Secrets and opt into the graveyard. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. My opponent doesn't have another land? I'm going to cast Smallpox again. And I don't know if this is correct or not. Oh, I guess it was, because it worked. We took it down. Look at that. What were we going to draw? We were going to draw some lands? Okay. I mean, you know, it might have been correct to let my opponent play. Like, if I just play the Treetop Village there, and then, you know, if they play threat, either kill it or a Smallpox if they ever draw a land. That might have been better, but I correctly deduced that taking them off land and keeping their, you know, million cantrips, the Serum Visions, the Ops, and the Thought Scours, from even being cards that cycle, might be enough to do it, and it was. So there you go, everybody. We at least got to end it with a win. You see the power of Smallpox right there. I'm glad we got to finish it off that way, everybody. I'm Corbin Hostler. This is Mighty Modern. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'll see you next week. Hey everybody, welcome to the Deck Tech for Golgari Pox. That's right, Golgari Smallpox here. So this is just a crazy deck. This is probably the only deck you'll ever see in Modern where a card like the Rack is in here for value. It's not like playing 8 Rack where you play all of these effects and that's how you're going to win. You're going to put them to 0 cards and that's your win condition. This is just a value Rack. I mean, this deck basically said, you know what? These black-green decks with Inquisitions and Thoughtseize and Lilianas are basically discard decks anyways. So let's lean into that. You get the Rack, you get Smallpox, make people discard and blow up their lands. It's crazy. This is just the coolest Golgari deck I've seen. Even Funeral Charm, you make them discard a card, add instant speed, or, you know, hey, when you really need some Swamp Walk going on. So that's the deck. Obviously, Liliana at the top. Dark Confidant making an appearance. This card is not what it used to be in Modern, but it's nice to see it get some time here. I even got the Treetop Villages in this. So this came from, let's see here. They got this from an online list. I'll shut it out in the game, so make sure you see it there. So, okay, so under the sideboard, we've got Surgicals and another Spell Bomb for the Graveyard Hate. We've got Needles where you need them, of course. Golgari Charm. Now, I love this as a sideboard card in Modern. All creatures get -1/-1. Pretty relevant. I mean, play against something like Affinity, this is just a board wipe, right? Target enchantment, well, now you've got at least some amount of flexibility, something else to board in against a Boggles deck or whatever. But then regenerate each creature you control. Not as relevant in this deck, but still, I mean, you never know. Maybe you get a Protected Dark Confidant or something. So that's a pretty cool one. Abrupt Decay is where you need them, of course. Scavenging Ooze, a little more graveyard hate and just life gain, just all around good card, right? Liliana, because you can never have enough. Maelstrom Pulse for versatile removal, and rounding it off, I love this one. Garruk Relentless does so many things. Essentially, it can fight creatures, transform, start making Death Touch Wolves. It's got a lot of text. I'm recording these before I play, so hopefully I get to play Garruk Relentless. That'll be fun. But either way, thank you for watching, everybody. I'm Corbin Hostler. This is Mighty Modern.